go.
Hey, Jack. Hey, Scott.
Hi, John. Welcome back. I know you've had a busy day already. Thank you for coming back to Tupelo virtually.
I've been there many times.
Well, I was just telling the folks before you got on that I brought back my copy of A Time to Kill that says to Jack Reed Jr. Thanks for the book party, June 28th, 1989, and that was our first chance to get to meet you. That our mutual friend Steve Holland, your
Yep.
fellow representative,
Yep.
was our matchmaker. And just since then, what a great friend you have been for us and all of your readers here in Tupelo. This is, people can't see this maybe too well, but this is just a picture for folks at home of the line around the block. Now, that's a city block, and that line went all the way around the other side of the block. And that was just for one of the 20 years that you used to come here in person. People would camp out. It was like a rock star. People would come at midnight and camp out in front of the bookstore door. And you were so generous to do those things for us. So we just want to take this chance before we start talking about pushing your new book to say thank you for that.
Boy,
Thank you for all your years.
brings back a lot of memories. I'll tell you. You said the book signing for Time to Kill was June 28th. The book came out June 23rd of 1989. So I went to Square Books first, Tupelo second, and then went to Jackson for the bookstore down there. But it was really a fun time. Even though A Time to Kill got a big boost when Phyllis Harper, who wrote for the paper there,
Yeah.
loved the book and wrote this really, really nice review and story about me in the book. And it really, she was the first journalist, the first reviewer who said anything nice about A Time to Kill. And I thanked her profusely for years after that. But the book signings there were, we signed the firm in March of 91 and ran out of books.
Yeah.
People up. And I had to come back for the second signing. So it was, always had a lot of fans and friends and readers in Tupelo.
Well, and you still do, and you still do. We one of the other things I was just going to show is a little prop that, again, to say thank you and just about our history. When our store turned 100 in 1905, our gift to our community was your conversation with the community they were just all the books you had written by then.
Right.
At the Lee County Library, which is now and will always be the largest crowd in the history of the Lee County Library, because the fire wardens came that night and said, you've got too many people here. You can never have 700 people in the Lee County Library again. So you'll always hold that record.
We set the record.
So anyway, I know people aren't interested in too much talking about our history. I did just want to open up by saying how much we've appreciated you all these years, and my dad, all our family, as well as our friends here, really do and still love your books, and looking forward to this one. Scott has joined me here. I know he kept up a little bit through time too, but congratulations. And what you want to tell the fans? Any just kind of introductory thoughts about the day, and the book comes out today, obviously, and
this is
already pre-sold most of what we've got.
This is my first virtual book tour. I'm not sure if I like it, but it's the best we can do right now under the circumstances. And so I'm visiting some old friends, but with the internet, and some new ones too. So bookstores I've never been to. I just talked to a store in Houston, Texas, for the first time, and promised to go there. So I'm getting out a little bit. We're fine and safe here in Central Virginia. We have not been hit hard by the virus yet. We hope that continues. We have really good hospitals and great doctors and nurses here, and people took it serious initially. We have a great governor. He's a doctor, and he understands the science and the medicine, and he's been very cautious, and like most governors. And so so far we have not been hit hard. I think it's mainly in the big cities where you're going to see the real damage, but it's changed everything. It's changed, and it will change things forever. The way people work and the way people get educated and the way they interact. Once we can get back together in some normal times, that's why a football season would help immensely if we could have a real football season, because it means so much to the nation. But that's probably not going to happen. We're just all going to survive and try to survive and get by, and that's why we're doing a virtual book tour, and so
Yeah.
we got our fingers crossed. So yeah, I'm having some fun. I mean, I've been at home for for 2 months in isolation. I told somebody earlier I went into isolation 30 years ago. Uh, I don't work with anybody. Okay, I work by myself all the time, and so it's been a very productive January, February, March, and April for me. I start a book each year on January the 1st with the goal of finishing by July the 1st, a legal thriller, and I get a lot of work done January, February, and March, and then we start traveling a little bit, and it slows down. But with no travel, there's nothing to do on the farm but write and read a little bit. So it's been very productive. I'm almost finished with the next legal thriller that'll come out in October. It's it's sort of a sequel to A Time to Kill. It's called A Time for Mercy. It's back in Ford County, and it features same cast of characters, and Jake is involved in another sensational murder trial in his hometown. So that's the story.
Well, that'll be exciting. That was, of course, that was what was fun for all of us here in Northeast Mississippi for the Time to Kill when it came out. Was it was set right here, and everybody was trying to figure out, well, is that supposed to be so and so's house, or is that supposed to be this store, or whatever?
Yeah, in fact, I've already written at least two scenes in the book that take place in Tupelo.
Good.
Clanton, the fictional town, is about an hour away from Tupelo, about an hour away from Oxford. I'm not sure where that puts it. And an hour from Memphis, so I don't know how you do it. Don't try to figure it out. Don't GPS it. But Tupelo is like the big town. For most of that region, anyway, it's true. If you really need something, you have to go to Tupelo. And so there are 2 or 3 scenes I've already long since written, that are in the book that take place in Tupelo. And there's always references to Tupelo, this, and a lot of stuff in Oxford. So that's kind of, that's where I'm from. That's my neck of the woods. That's my literary ground. That's where the people I like to write about. I've written books that take place all over the world, but I, when I got started with A Time to Kill, I'm not sure I had a plan, but I planned to write a book from Ford County and then write a legal thriller, and then go back to Ford County and then a legal thriller. And that was what I had in mind. The firm came out, though, and sold, a zillion copies. And
blew the top off.
A Time to Kill sold 5,000 copies initially. They sort of prevailed upon me in New York to stick to the legal thrillers for a while.
Yeah.
And that was good advice, but I always wanted to get back, and I've gone back to Ford County and a couple of other books before Jake, and I was simply waiting on a good story. And 7 years ago, I published a book called Sycamore Row, which is a Jake story, a trial, and then I got lucky with this story. The story for A Time to Mercy is one that popped up a couple of years ago, and I said that would be a great story. And something else you have to kind of watch. Jake's a small town lawyer in Mississippi. You're not going to get a sensational murder case every other year, so I can't just create all these murder cases for Jake. So I got to spread them out a little bit.
But first of all, how are Renee, Shay, Ty, everybody doing well with all of this going on?
Thank you, Scott. Everybody's great. Shay's down in Raleigh with the grandkids. Oliver's 4 and Margot's 20 months. They came home 2 weeks ago and stayed for 10 nights with us. That was about 4 too many, but it was great. Great having the grandkids around, and they really liven up, as you know, they liven up your life. Ty's a lawyer here in Charlottesville. His wedding was scheduled for June the 6th. It has been postponed to September, and we're pretty nervous about that date too. But everybody's healthy. Everybody's healthy and happy. And how about your bunch? Where y'all's kids now? I can't keep up with them.
Well, they're all home right now. They're both the girls are at Ole Miss, and one in pre-med, one in journalism, and they're doing great, except for they've been home for about 6 weeks, just like everybody else. And so they've handled this better than Annette and I have. Although Annette's an introvert, she said that there's really a silver lining to this thing for introverts. You get to go home. You don't have to make excuses for not going to parties. So
yeah.
But everybody's doing well. The store's been closed for 7 weeks now. We opened up after 6 weeks last week for curbside only. I told a friend of mine, I said, if you're ever taking a course at the Harvard Business School, and one of the case studies is, can you make it with 6 weeks of zero revenue? The answer is not really. But not really. So we're glad to be very carefully. Oh, we've got. I'm not wearing mine now because of this, but masks, and we've got gloves, and our customers will come to the curbside. We'll take them out with gloves and a mask, leave it there. They'll come get it, and then we're going to try to very carefully, either by appointment or open up a little bit next week. So we're trying to tiptoe carefully back into doing business. But this book will certainly help us. We've pre-sold lots of these. So in fact, we're going to be calling your publisher when we get off today at her home to buy some more. So
good.
We're excited. Congratulations on your on this one already.
But this is the exciting part about this. Curbside service. It's not easy to sell a suit at curbside service, but you can sell a book.
Yeah.
You came out this week, and we reopened this week, and so I was thinking about this. A lot of us can't go to the beach and can't go to the island this summer, but we can go to Camino Island. Everybody can go to Camino Island, John.
Yeah.
And they can come by in their car, and we can charge it to them and throw it in their back seat. So it's just perfect for both of us.
Well, we hope so. We hope books are going to sell. Everybody's pretty nervous in the publishing world right now. So many bookstores are closed and probably will not reopen, and booksellers are scrambling. Stephen King came out last week. I'm coming out today. So publishing is, nervously watching to see what happens. It's going.
Y'all are doing an event tomorrow night, right? Together.
We're doing a live YouTube chat tomorrow night, just the two of us, with no agenda, no plan, no forethought, nothing. Just both of us yucking it up. We've known each other for a long time. He came to Oxford in 1994 for the first time for the book festival and stayed with us, and we've been buddies ever since. And we don't see each other a lot, but we keep in touch, and tomorrow night should be a lot of fun.
Will that be on both your John Grisham author Instagram and his? How will people find you there?
Jack, I have no idea how that stuff works. Right. It's on Stephen King's YouTube account, his page. So
okay.
It's probably everywhere. You probably find
it. I'm sure that people can find it.
All right. So Camino Island,
oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I feel like I went there on vacation 3 years ago, and I get to go back this year on vacation again. The last time was not a legal thriller; it was a priceless manuscript thriller. What kind of all of them are thrillers? What kind of thriller is this one?
This is an old-fashioned murder mystery. You will not want to go to Camino Island with this book because it's in the middle of a hurricane, and one of the local writers on the island, part of the literary mafia in this fictional place, a young guy, he's 40 years old. He dies in the middle of a Category 4 hurricane that demolishes the island. And it takes a little while for them to realize that he didn't die of natural causes. He was murdered and in such a way that they thought they could cover it up. And he was murdered by a professional. And so the police are occupied with the hurricane, but afterwards a cleanup. They don't really care. They're not convinced he was murdered. And so it falls upon our hero, Bruce Cable, the guy who owns the bookstore and was a friend of the deceased, to get involved and try to prove the guy was murdered and to solve the mystery. And it turns into just a really romp of a book about who killed him, who did it, and why. And that's Camino Wins.
Well, it's nice. Yeah, I was just saying it's nice to have a hero as a retailer. People laugh. Harry Truman, who, the more you look back at history, became one of our better presidents. And when the time came, he stepped up. Yeah, he failed. He went bankrupt as a retailer in Kansas. Right. So it's not that easy a job. So I'm glad to have a retailer hero in one of your books.
Well, and also I have over the years I've killed off so many lawyers and judges, and I thought, it's time to kill off a writer. So I killed off a writer, and why not have the hero of a bookseller, a good guy?
Yeah, but I've got a technical question. You're a methodical writer. You write X amount of pages every day. It's a professional name. Greg Isles says he goes into hibernation for 2 months to finish, and he writes 20 hours a day. You're not that guy. One thing, I've read every book that you've written except for the last Theo Boone book, which I'm going to read. Every one of them, there's one thing I can count on. 40-something chapters, about 10 pages a chapter. It's always there, which is, you go to bed at night and start to read a 40-page chapter, you're not sure you can get through it. I've always been able to count on that. Now, again, in this book, your first chapter is 38 pages with 14 subchapters. What is going on with that? I don't understand that, John.
I'm not sure I can explain it. With the legal thrillers, that's the goal, is 40 chapters with about 10, 12 pages per chapter. I don't like short chapters, don't like long ones. It's also part of the plotting and pacing of the books. You want your reader to start the next chapter and don't put the book down. Keep the pages going. But if you sneak ahead and the next chapter is 35 pages, you may put the book down and go to sleep. That's all kind of part of the pacing and plotting. I don't know why I did that. I did it in Camino Island. I started chapter 1 and it had the sub parts, but there are a lot of breaks and there's a lot of room, places you can stop and take a break and rest or whatever. I probably wouldn't do it over if I started Camino Island again, but because I did it then, I felt compelled to do it now, and I'll probably do it in the third one too.
Well, it is nice because you can finish the subchapter and go to sleep.
Yeah,
which is nice because I've stayed up till 2 or 3 in the morning with you a
Good.
few times. It's really
Good.
kind of frustrating. Yeah.
Good.
Start on the next day. Yeah.
I want people staying up late, calling in sick from work, skipping lunch. Yeah, that's what I want.
Yes.
I want the pages turning. Okay, I want you to read these.
Absolutely. Bennett, we got anything?
John, one of the things I've always been interested in is how prescient you seem to be on current issues, with the Innocence Project and some of the student loan issue, in some of your other books that have come through, not as a way for you to be able to comment on some things while still writing exciting literature. You and I have a mutual friend. I wanted just to hold up his book because we just had him in our bookstore the last day before we closed, and that's The Race Against Time by Jerry Mitchell and his book. And I was honored to be asked to be one of the board of directors of the Mississippi Investigative Reporters Foundation now. So I've certainly been interested in that. You want to take just a minute and say a little bit, tell people a little bit about this Race Against Time and Jerry Mitchell's lifetime of history of what he's done as a real hero for Mississippi and the nation.
It's one of the most incredible stories to come out of Mississippi in a long time. It's one of the best books I've read in the past year. It's Jerry's story of how he realized that these old Klansmen who had done the murders back in the 1960s of Medgar Evers, Vernon Dahmer, the 3 civil rights guys in Philadelphia, and the 4 girls in Birmingham, these guys had gotten off, and they'd been walking around. Anybody knew who they were. Their identities were not secret, and they'd gotten off. And so Jerry started digging into the old crimes, and the more he dug, the deeper he got, and he found out all kinds of witnesses and talked to people who were involved back then and found documents. And it's this incredible story of how Jerry put these, and he was writing about it. I think he won prizes for his investigative reporting. It's just a great story. This is his big book. He's been trying to get this book finished for a long time because the compilation of all the stories he wrote and all of the people he met, and it was very courageous what he did. I mean, he had death threats, and his wife said, "Don't go there. Don't go to Philadelphia. Don't meet those people. It's dangerous," and it was dangerous. And he just kept digging away, and he finally convinced some very courageous prosecutors to put the cases together. And Jerry's responsible for these guys finally going to prison, and most of them died there. So we finally got some measure of justice in the state for all these civil rights killings. But it's a fascinating story.
Well, we still have a few signed copies left from his. Like I said, it was the last author we had at the bookstore before the virus stopped us. So I knew that you admired him, and I just thought I'd give you a chance to help us lift his book up a little bit too.
Speaking of people that you admire, I know you told a story yesterday, and Jack and I both heard it. I was having lunch with Robert Cadd a couple of months ago with one of my daughters, and he spent at least half the time talking about the trip y'all took up east, and said it was a long ride up and it was a fun ride up, and then you decided to make it a faster ride home, and everybody owed you for the rest of their lives for that. But Robert Cayatt is a great friend of yours, but y'all had a wonderful trip together last year, right?
It was Robert's bucket list. He had things he wanted to see before he died, and historical sites, Valley Forge, the Erie Canal, Fenway Park, Jamestown. So he got 4 of us guys with him. There were a total of 5 of us, all with deep Mississippi connections, and we put together worked on it for a year. And he wanted to tour in one of these fancy buses used by country music stars. He's been on one before with Marty Stewart, so he thought that was. So we leased a $1 million bus from a company in Nashville for the week. And we started here in Charlottesville, and we went to Jamestown, to Washington D.C. We had lunch and dinner with some great people, Philadelphia, Valley Forge, the Liberty Bell, on and on. West Point, we had breakfast with the cadets at West Point. Cooperstown, wow. I've never been to Cooperstown. We ended up at Fenway Park in Boston for 2 nights. Had lunch with Doris Kearns Goodwin. We had there was lunch in Washington. I can't even remember all the people we had lunch with. And we were in New York City. We saw Hamilton in New York City. Went to the 9/11 memorial. Just stuff like that you'd love to do. And then we spent last night was in Boston at Fenway, where we had a private suite and watched the game with Tony La Russa. And that was a real treat. And we got up the next morning, and we had a 15-hour bus ride back to Charlottesville, where we started from. Not 15, maybe 12-hour bus ride. And we were kind of tired of the bus. And, to be honest,
that's weird. Our feed is.
John?
Oh, you guys still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
There we
we
are. We
lost you for a second.
Yeah, but you were saying, to be honest, after that, looking forward to that bus ride.
Yeah, I had a brand new airplane, so I just called the airplane and we flew home in an hour and a half.
That's a better way to do it.
Oh,
the end of the trip.
Better. So much better.
I have a couple of questions. One is Jake coming back in A Time for Mercy?
Yes, it's a Jake trial. He's back in the courtroom.
And then somebody wanted me to let you know that there are people from Italy and the Netherlands and all over the world watching. You got anything to say to people out there in the rest of the world?
Oh, yeah. I've corresponded with a lot of foreign publishers. I have friends over there in publishing, and a lot of I went to Amsterdam back in the fall, and just, same thing here. You worry about them. They're hit very hard over there. They're quarantined. They're locked down. They're worried about the economy, just like we are. And they're wonderful people and big readers, and they've been fans and readers for a long time. So I'm very concerned about them, and I appreciate their loyalty. I'll get over there as soon as I can.
Well, it is the last time we had a pandemic, the medical pandemic that took down the economy was 1918, and hopefully we only have one every 100 years or so. But we are resilient, and we will get through this sooner or later. You're making it a lot easier, at least for a few hours. As long as it takes to read your book, you're making it a lot easier for people.
Yeah, it's a good escape. That's what a good book does. It takes you. A good book can inform and educate, but also I love to escape with a book and just someplace I've never been for a couple of days and just enjoy being somewhere else. Maybe that'll help folks.
It does. It lets you travel if you can't actually travel. That is a way to travel.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned football season, but I know baseball is your first love. Do you see? Would you watch Major League Baseball with no fans and just the teams out there? If that's what may happen this season, what are your thoughts on baseball season?
I'd watch a game set in the South Korean minor leagues if it's on television. Yeah, I'd watch anything. Okay, my ballpark. I have 7 ball fields in my little league ballpark, and we have 400 kids every year. The ballpark's full, and that's all empty. you know how much I love college baseball. I follow it. The Cardinals aren't playing. It's just the first spring ever. We're having a gorgeous spring here in Central Virginia. The days are warm. The flowers are beautiful. We should be outdoors at a ball game, and it's just really painful to have life with no baseball because you don't realize how much the sport means to you until it's gone. We never thought it would be gone. I mean, baseball has survived wars and depressions and Spanish flus, and baseball has survived everything, and then it's gone, and it's very makes me very sad.
Are you still the commissioner and the groundskeeper?
I'll always be
For
commissioner.
your little
No
league
longer I hired a grounds crew. I got tired of cutting grass.
Well, maybe when Ty comes over, y'all can have a scene. You know, hey, Dad, would you like to have a pitch? Maybe you could at least have a little family pitch.
No,
But,
Oliver.
you're-
Oliver's 40. Forget about Ty. Ty's had his career. I'm watching Oliver, and it's time for T-ball. Time to start T-ball again.
Absolutely. Question from the crowd. Any plan for movies? They miss your movies a lot. And do you have a favorite movie out of all those?
Can you hear me now?
Did you miss that? Yeah, I can hear you. Did you hear the question? No, it's going in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that. No.
All right, you just came back again. So they were asking about plans for movies and
Okay.
and do you have a favorite of your movies?
These are from fans' questions.
Yeah, we've got a lot of deals going with movies and television, but nothing's going to be filmed this year or next year. I haven't had a feature film in 15 years, so it's very hard to make movies. All the action is, and we've got some projects there. Who knows? Nobody's filming anything. Nobody can go to a movie theater. Really shut down. It's going to take a long time for it to recover. Netflix is going to do okay because they're streaming. Some of those companies will do all right, but they're not filming right now. And so I doubt if I get anything filmed next year. So, and my favorite movie is probably Rainmaker with the young Matt Damon. It was done by Francis Ford Coppola, and it was he stuck to the story. He really stuck to the story. Had a great cast with Claire Danes and Jon Voight and Matt Damon and Danny DeVito, and that's probably my favorite movie.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
I like the Pelican Brief. I love that one.
I've been loving Hollywood.
Yeah. Another one. Trying to.
Well, John, before we go, I want to just, if people can look behind me, this is what we call the vault at our Gumtree bookstore. And we've got signed copies of a lot of the different authors that have come through. But 2 of the 5 cases are all your books. So if any of your fans, I used to keep an extra 10 books of every one of your books. And so we don't have any more time to kill, but most of the 30 books, we've still got copies of them. So if people out there are watching you and watching us now, whether it's Theodore Boone or your adult books, we've got copies of them. If people want to keep their collection going or have, once they finish Camino Wins and want some more John Grisham, we've got these in what we call the vault at the Gumtree bookstore.
Good. Sell them.
Yeah, we will.
You guys got to run.
Well, thank you.
Thank y'all so
Yeah, we do
It's
too.
been great.
Thank you so much.
John.
Good luck. Stay
Take care.
safe.